you doing, guys? Tomatosaucin here. And what you're looking at in front of me is every class ranked in Ulduar, DPS rankings, the full breakdown. Now, PTR, as most of you know, has been released for Ulduar. Raid testing has started. And on top of that, after confirming the new item level drops from the buffed versions of Ulduar, people have started simming. We've got a class ranking system here, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but it does look like my tier list has adapted very, very well. It's kind of fit in to exactly what the DPS rankings turned out to be. There were a couple mistakes there, obviously, right? Affliction and Demonology could have been changed up, but overall, the tier list I gave out for Ulduar, which you can click it, it's in the top right-hand corner of your screen right now, looks pretty damn accurate for these DPS rankings. Now, I want to break down these a little bit, but before I do that, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, click that red sub button. Doesn't cost you anything, and you'll just get notified, you know, anytime I put out a video relating to Wrath of the Lich King content or Dragonflight content. And you actually have to enable notifications, so click those bells too, because if you want to see the content that I'm putting out, that's the only way to do it, right? Get notified right away and jump on to the next Tomatosaucin video. Now that that's out of the way, boys, enough of that self-promotional bullshit. Let's jump into the DPS rankings. As you can see, Unholy DK's pets are the absolute best DPS damage per second in Ulduar. They're going to snapshot their gargoyle, their Army of the Dead, their little A-bomb, and bada bing, bada boom. They're going to, you know, their pets are going to carry them to victory again, playing that god-awful Morb spec. The snapshot and Gary is an art, though, and we have to, you know, kind of take our hat off to Unholy DKs adapting to, you know, Wrath of the Lich King Classic. I believe they're going to be solidifying themselves at the top of the DPS rankings for the rest of the expansion, just working on snapshotting their Gary, right? So Sarth also agrees with that statement, which I think is pretty cool. Really, it came from him, so I'm the parrot in this relationship. Now, as we go down the line, we see Affliction Warlocks and Assassination Rogues are kind of neck and neck there, which is really great to see because Affliction has been touted as a powerhouse class for the entire expansion. But Assassination going into it, people really weren't sure about Rogues because they weren't that great in TBC. Assassination Rogues are proving everybody wrong by staying towards the top of these rankings. Next, we have Demonology, 2 Warlock specs in the top 5. Kind of incredible there, right? So, Demo, it buffs the entire raid. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be doing as good of damage as it's doing today, but it continues to surprise. So you've got Affliction and Demo in the top 5, and then we come over to Frost DK, which this is actually a spec that I would consider a surprise for being this high in the DPS rankings. But you have 2 Plate Locks in the top 5 and 2 Cloth Locks in the top 5. So you got Frost DK rounding out that top 5. Now, you have Survival after that, Spell Enhance, and Combat Rogue, which is pretty cool to see, right? You have another Rogue spec creeping its way up. And what's really great about Combat is it's bringing that physical damage debuff to the raid, and it costs the raid less to have Combat bring that than Arms. Now, that's not a huge deal if you don't have multiple rogues or you don't have a rogue that wants to go combat in your raid, because Arms Warrior is actually coming in pretty hot as not in last place of the raid. Arms has officially moved forward, right? We're going to skip a couple specs here. Arms has officially moved forward and promoted itself from a meme spec with Frost Mage and Subtlety Rogue, and it has officially leapfrogged Rep Paladin, as I predicted it would do in my tier list. So congratulations to the Arms Warriors. You boys are going to be absolutely cracking. I've been simming arms. I'm going to have an arms focused only video because you know I love the arms warrior content. And I'll tell you what the absolute best plate only DPS specialization and gearing talents are for arms warrior coming up in Ulduar. I'm getting arms warriors to sim over 8,500 DPS. And why that is so good? Well, because Fury's only simming at about 9,500 DPS, so you really only have about 1,000 DPS gap if you don't like playing Fury, or if you don't have a combat rogue in your raid and somebody needs to go arms. Now, why that's also great is because Arms Warrior AoE, the burst AoE specifically, is through the roof, right? With Blade Storm and Sweeping Strikes. So you actually get a more burst AoE than Fury. Of course, Fury can sustain AoE better than you, but you're getting more burst AoE than Fury playing Arms Warrior in Ulduar. So I think that's very cool. I think Arms has a nice little bright future where it fits into that physical debuff niche if you don't have a rogue that wants to play combat, or you just don't have enough rogues for one of your assassination rogues to go combat, right? So Arms out of meme tier. And then this brings us to the bottom, your Ret Paladins. Now, I've had a lot of people give me hate for where I put Ret Paladins on the tier list. Listen, if you like Ret Paladin, you're coming in under 8k DPS, but that's okay. It's not that bad. At the end of the day, you're bringing an important raid buff in your blessings, and you're even bringing some other raid buffs that, yeah, okay, maybe they can be brought by other classes, but somebody's got to play Ret Paladin. You want 3 Paladins in the raid. So, if you got to give S-Vand a little charity here, do it, right? Right? Bring that Ret Paladin. You brought him in Classic WoW when he was really an anchor. So you might as well bring him now when he's actually above Frost Mage and Sub Rogue meme tier. So we won't call Ret Paladin meme tier. We'll just call them the caboose right now. And they're going to get better as the expansion progresses. They'll come, the big thing that Ret Paladins have to look forward to is what people call the incredible set bonus in ICC. And what that set bonus is every time you press Divine Storm, you have like a 40% chance or whatever for that cooldown to not happen. And then you'll get to press Divine Storm again. So like 40-50% of the time, you're not going to be terrible. You're actually going to come up a little bit there. So you got that to look forward to, Ret Paladins. You bring an important raid buff. We want to bring you to everything except maybe like a speed run, right? Now, I think something to take into account here is that this DPS tier, this DPS breakdown is only on 3-minute single target fights, right? So this is the ranking in that isolated environment. Some of these classes are going to do better in like 2 to 3 target cleave. Fury Warriors, I'm looking at you. And Assassination Rogues, where you think they might fall off in like 2 to 3 target cleave, the 3 target for sure, but 2 target cleave, you give them that Blade Flurry Mutilate spec. I just pulled the craziest numbers on Faralina last week, where I actually 99'd that running the Blade Flurry Mutilate specialization in Assassination Rogue. So even classes where you think, well, they're only a single target class, they have options also to expand into that 2 to 3 target cleave. So here's what we got so far, boys. I could see this changing a little bit over time, and as the sims adapt, I think it's very interesting. Now, if in the beginning of the video, what I mentioned was Ulduar is getting buffed, and I don't want to go through every buff that Ulduar is going to get, but I'm going to link a Wowhead article in the description so you guys can read through it. Now, the bosses in Ulduar are being buffed to pre-nerf levels, and what they're doing in order to keep Ulduar content more relevant is adding additional item level to the items that drop off of these bosses. So you're getting harder content, which will actually sustain the Ulduar raid much longer. I'm talking like pre-nerf SSC TK, right? Pre-nerf Vashjay, pre-nerf Kel'Thalas content. Almost, Sunwell levels of like Mimi and who's the other one? Brutalis was a difficult fight there. Kill Jaden was really difficult. I've heard Sarth say it won't be as difficult as like Kill Jaden, but I mean, I was there for pre-nerf Vash and pre-nerf KT. My guild, the guild I was in, Tech at the time on Benediction, We server first did that content for the Horde on that server. That stuff was tough. I mean, that stuff was tough. And if you just look at, right, if you just scroll down to Flame Leviathan, right, you're going to see there's a lot of buffs here. So, and this is on all the hard modes, right? Razor Scale. You got a ton of different mechanics here. Look at XT002 Deconstructor. I mean, each one of these bosses could potentially have as many mechanics as pre-nerf Vash and KT. And we're talking about like entry-level bosses to Ulduar. So I expect a much higher degree of difficulty here in Ulduar. And on top of that, Blizzard is going to reward us by allowing us to have higher item level gear, and that changes the way the classes end up breaking down. So it's pretty cool. You're gonna be running Ulduar for a long time. You're gonna see some changes in what the expected best in slot list was. I'll give you an example. In Arms Warrior, I cannot get Dark Moon card greatness to sim better than Dark Matter, right? The increased item level on Dark Matter is giving me like a 40 to 50 DPS edge over Dark Moon card greatness. Now, does that mean you shouldn't get a greatness? I did say that in my last video, but no. If you can almost get the best in slot trinket for a couple thousand gold where you don't have to rely on it, on getting it from a raid drop, you know, for sure. If you have the gold and you're sitting on it, get Dark Moon card greatness. But you are going to see substantial changes to the best in slot gearing list. And if they don't buff the tier gear for a lot of these classes, you know, to an increased item level as well, I think you'll see a lot of people forego their tier sets in Ulduar and just chase the 252 item level gear. Because you can really gap that tier gear, right? Some set bonuses are so underwhelming that the 252 is just better. But you're going to get the tier gear easier because it is guaranteed from certain bosses in Ulduar. So this is the DPS breakdown, guys. We've got, you know, it all laid out for you here. You can actually find this on the link in my community section, and I linked directly to Sarth, who posted this up yesterday or 2 days ago now at the time of filming this video. So that's it, boys. Have a good day. Have a good week. Have a good month. Have a good year. Tomatosaucin out. Arms Warriors kind of in. Thank you, guys. Take it easy.